Did you know Elvis Presley recorded over 700 songs? Have you ever wondered what gems might be hiding beyond Suspicious Minds and Jailhouse Rock? While most people immediately think of Elvis Presley as the hip-swinging rock and roll icon in a jumpsuit, the king had a deeply rooted connection to country music that often gets overshadowed by his bigger pop hits. Growing up in Mississippi and Tennessee, Elvis was immersed in country sounds from childhood, and throughout his career, he recorded numerous country tracks that showcase his versatility and emotional depth as an artist. Many of these country songs remain hidden treasures in his vast catalog, beloved by dedicated fans, but unknown to casual listeners. Elvis brought his distinctive vocal style to these country tunes, often infusing them with elements of gospel blues and rock that created something entirely unique. His approach to country music respected the genre's traditions while simultaneously pushing its boundaries. Let's dive into 12 of Elvis's most underrated country songs that deserve more recognition and appreciation. These tracks reveal a different side of Presley that might surprise those who only know his mainstream hits. Number 12. I Was Born About 10,000 Years Ago. Have you ever heard a song that feels both ancient and timeless? Elvis recorded this traditional folk song during his legendary 1970 Nashville sessions, the same sessions that produced classics like In the Ghetto. The psalm tells the tall tale of a narrator who claims to have witnessed biblical and historical events across thousands of years. On this track, Elvis sounds like he's having an absolute blast, delivering the humorous lyrics with perfect comic timing and enthusiasm. His voice booms with authority as he spins yarns about sailing with Noah and crossing the River Jordan. The production features a choir of background singers that gives the song a gospel flavor, while the instrumentation remains firmly rooted in country tradition. Strangely, the complete version wasn't officially released during Elvis's lifetime. Fans only heard a snippet of it as the intro to I'm Leavin' on the Elvis Country album in 1971. The full version remained in the vault until years after his death, when it appeared on compilations and expanded editions. This peculiar release history helped keep the song hidden from wider recognition. When you listen to I Was Born About 10,000 Years Ago, you hear Elvis connecting to America's musical roots, embracing the folk tradition of tall tales and mythical storytelling. His performance captures the playful spirit of traditional country storytelling while demonstrating his comfort with the genre's conventions. The joy in his voice is palpable as he weaves through the outlandish claims of witnessing David slay Goliath and helping build the Tower of Babel. The session musicians provide a perfect backdrop with rolling piano, precise guitar picking, and subtle drums that never overshadow Elvis's theatrical delivery. Every time the chorus comes around, you can almost picture Elvis grinning in the recording booth, fully embracing the song's absurdity and charm. Number 11. U.S. Mail. Were you aware Elvis could blend humor, swagger, and country music into one unforgettable package? U.S. Mail from 1968 is a prime example of Elvis's ability to inhabit a character within a song. The track features Elvis playing the role of a possessive, tough-talking man, warning others to stay away from his woman. The clever wordplay in the title, U.S. Mail, sets up the song's territorial theme. Elvis delivers the lyrics with a spoken-word approach during the verses that builds into his full vocal power for the chorus. His deep baritone drips with confidence and just the right amount of menace as he warns would-be suitors to back off. recorded during a prolific 1968 Nashville session shortly before his famous comeback special, U.S. Mail, was written by Jerry Reed, who also plays the distinctive finger-style guitar on the track. Reed's guitar work is a highlight, providing a perfect complement to Elvis's commanding vocal performance. The instrumentation remains sparse throughout, allowing Elvis's voice and Reed's guitar to remain front and center. Despite reaching pound 28 on Billboard's Hot 100 and pound 4 on the country chart, U.S. Mail has been somewhat overshadowed by other hits from this period. However, it represents an important moment in Elvis's career, as he was beginning to reassert himself as a musical force after years of making movies. The song's lyrics showcased the storytelling tradition of country music, with Elvis spinning a narrative about defending his romantic territory. Lines like, "So be careful what you say and watch your actions too, 'cause the U.S. Mail might be watching you," are delivered with such conviction that you can't help but believe him. The track also demonstrates Elvis's willingness to explore different vocal techniques. He alternates between a spoken delivery and full singing, sometimes within the same line, creating dramatic tension throughout the song. His timing is impeccable, knowing exactly when to hold back and when to unleash the full power of his voice. Number 10. 100 years from now. Can you imagine what the world will look like a century from now? This poignant track from Elvis's 1970 Elvis Country album contemplates love that transcends time, with Elvis wondering if a relationship will be remembered 100 years in the future. Originally written by Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, Elvis transformed this bluegrass standard into something entirely his own. The original had a faster tempo and traditional bluegrass instrumentation, but Elvis slowed it down slightly, giving it more emotional weight while maintaining its country roots. Elvis's version features stellar backing musicians, including legendary Nashville A-Team players like guitarist James Burton and drummer Jerry Carrigan. The production includes steel guitar that weeps throughout the song, creating a perfect melancholic atmosphere that matches the song's theme of love's uncertainty against the passage of time. What makes this recording special is the emotional honesty in Elvis's delivery. There's a vulnerability in his voice as he contemplates whether a love will last or be forgotten. The song was recorded during a period when Elvis was experiencing a creative renaissance, returning to his musical roots after years of making movies. The Elvis Country sessions were unique because Elvis insisted on recording the tracks, with the band playing live in the studio rather than laying down tracks separately. This approach created an organic, authentic feel that perfectly suited the country material. On 100 Years from Now, you can hear the natural chemistry between Elvis and the musicians as they respond to each other in real time. Despite being on what many critics consider one of Elvis's finest artistic statements, 100 Years from Now doesn't receive the attention of other tracks from the album, like Snowbird or I Really Don't Want to Know. Yet it showcases Elvis's ability to take a country standard and infuse it with his unique vocal approach while respecting the song's origins. The philosophical nature of the lyrics seems to resonate deeply with Elvis, who delivers lines like, 100 years from now, I wonder who'll be loving you with genuine emotion rather than mere technical proficiency. This ability to connect with the song's emotional core was always one of Elvis's greatest strengths as an interpreter. Number 9. Faded Love. Have you ever experienced a love that slowly disappeared over time? Elvis's 1971 version of Faded Love captures that exact feeling of watching something beautiful gradually slip away. This Western swing classic, originally made famous by Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys, becomes something entirely different in Elvis's hands. Elvis recorded the song during the prolific Nashville sessions that produced the Elvis Country album. His interpretation slows the tempo considerably from the original, transforming it from a danceable Western swing number into a mournful ballad that emphasizes the song's lyrics about lost love. The slower pace allows Elvis to wring every drop of emotion from each word. The instrumentation on Faded Love is particularly noteworthy. The fiddle, an essential component of the original, remains prominent, creating a sonic link to the song's Western swing origins. However, Elvis's version adds subtle orchestration and his core TCB band rhythm section, creating a sound that bridges traditional country and the more contemporary approach of early 1970s Nashville. Elvis's vocal performance demonstrates his extraordinary control and range. He begins with a gentle, almost whispered delivery that gradually builds in intensity as the song progresses. By the final verses, he's shrouding his full vocal power, yet never in a way that feels showy or disconnected from the song's emotional content. What's fascinating about this recording is that you can hear Elvis finding his way through the song in real time. There's a moment where he seems unsure of the lyrics, creating a vulnerability that actually enhances the emotional impact. Rather than re-record, producer Felton Jarvis wisely kept this take, preserving the authentic feeling of Elvis connecting deeply with the material. The song runs over 4 minutes, unusually long for a country single of that era, indicating Elvis's desire to fully explore the emotional landscape of the composition rather than creating a radio-friendly edit. This artistic choice shows his commitment to serving the song rather than commercial considerations. Faded Love was eventually released on the Love Letters from Elvis album in 1971, where it was somewhat buried among other tracks. The album itself received mixed reviews, perhaps contributing to this remarkable performance, remaining underappreciated in the larger Elvis catalog. Number 8. I'm Movin' On. What happens when Elvis tackles one of country music's most definitive songs about leaving? I'm Movin' On was a massive hit for Hank Snow in 1950, spending an unprecedented 21 weeks at #1 on the country charts. Elvis's version, recorded during his 1969 Memphis sessions with producer Chips Moman, reimagines the country classic with elements of rock and soul. Elvis's interpretation transforms the steady train rhythm, original, into something more urgent and emotionally raw. Where Hank Snow's version had a certain stoicism typical of early country music, Elvis injects a sense of barely contained emotion. His voice conveys both determination and pain as he sings about leaving a troubled relationship behind. The instrumentation on Elvis's version brings together his core rhythm section with elements more common in late 1960s rock recordings. The electric guitar work is particularly stellar, with riffs that respond to Elvis's vocal phrases, creating a dialogue between singer and instrument. The production maintains the song's country foundation while incorporating the more contemporary Memphis sound that characterized this period of Elvis's recording career. What makes this recording special is Elvis's phrasing. He pushes and pulls against the steady rhythm, sometimes rushing ahead, other times holding back, creating tension that mirrors the emotional state of someone making the difficult decision to move on. His voice cracks at certain moments, revealing the emotional cost behind the brave words. The song appeared on From Elvis in Memphis, an album that represented a critical turning point in Elvis's career. After years of making movies and recording soundtracks of varying quality, this album announced his return to serious, meaningful music making. While other songs from the album, like In the Ghetto and Suspicious Minds, received more attention, I'm Movin' On demonstrates Elvis's ability to honor country tradition while simultaneously pushing it forward. The backing vocalists add another dimension to the recording, their gospel-influenced harmonies providing a soulful backdrop to Elvis's lead. This integration of gospel elements into country material was something Elvis did, naturally reflecting his own musical upbringing where these genres frequently intersected. Despite its quality, I'm Movin' On hasn't received the recognition of other tracks from this creatively fertile period. Yet it captures Elvis at a moment when he was fully engaged with the material, working with top-tier musicians and creating music that respected tradition while sounding thoroughly contemporary. Number 7. Long Black Limousine. How would you feel if someone left town seeking fame and fortune, only to return home in a hearse? This haunting story song opens the critically acclaimed 1969 album From Elvis in Memphis, setting the tone for what many consider one of Elvis's finest artistic statements. Long Black Limousine tells the tragic tale of someone who leaves their humble beginnings for the bright lights and glamour of the big city, only to return home dead in the titular vehicle. The narrative parallels aspects of Elvis's own journey from poverty to fame, perhaps explaining the raw emotional investment evident in his performance. Originally recorded by country artists, including Wynn Stewart and Glenn Campbell, Elvis's version transforms the song with his dramatic vocal approach and the soulful Memphis production of Chips Moman. The arrangement builds gradually, beginning sparsely before adding layers of instrumentation and intensity that mirror the growing emotional weight of the lyrics. Elvis's vocal performance ranks among his most committed and affecting. He moves from a controlled, almost spoken delivery in the early verses to full-throated emotional release by the song's conclusion. The pain in his voice feels genuine, suggesting he connected deeply with the song's themes of the dark side of fame and success. The backing musicians, including the Memphis Boys studio team, provide perfect support. The rhythm section establishes a funeral march feel, while horns and strings enter strategically to heighten the emotional impact without overwhelming the narrative. The production achieves a delicate balance between country storytelling, tradition, and contemporary late 60s sophistication. What's remarkable about this recording is how Elvis inhabits the character in the song. Throughout his career, Elvis showed his skill as an interpretive singer who could make any story feel personal and authentic. On Long Black Limousine, he sounds like he's lived every word, delivering lines like, "The party's over, no more good times," with devastating conviction. Despite opening one of Elvis's most acclaimed albums, Long Black Limousine hasn't achieved the recognition of other tracks from this period. Perhaps its somber subject matter has kept it from wider appreciation. But the song represents Elvis at his interpretive best, bringing together country narrative tradition with his unique vocal abilities. Number 6. Kentucky Rain. Did you know one of Elvis's most atmospheric country pop crossovers features a young pianist named Eddie Rabbitt, who would later become a country star himself? Kentucky Rain reached pound 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1970 and made it to pound 3 on the country charts, yet it's often overlooked when discussing Elvis's greatest hits. The song tells the story of a man desperately searching for his lost love through a rainstorm in Kentucky. Elvis's delivery perfectly captures the mounting frustration and determination of the narrator as he goes from town to town, asking if anyone has seen the woman who left him. Recorded during Elvis's prolific American Sound Studio sessions in Memphis with producer Chips Moman, Kentucky Rain features impeccable production that blends country pop and soul elements. The arrangement builds progressively, with the intensity increasing as the story unfolds. The use of percussion to simulate rainfall is subtle but effective, creating an immersive atmospheric quality. Elvis's vocal performance demonstrates his remarkable control and emotional range. He begins relatively restrained, conveying determination and hope. But as the search continues fruitlessly, his voice reveals increasing desperation and longing. The way he delivers the chorus, "Kentucky Rain Keeps Pouring Down," with its descending melodic line, perfectly expresses the narrator's sinking hopes. The song was co-written by Eddie Rabbitt and Dick Hurd, with Rabbitt playing piano on the recording. The young Yelkener would go on to have his own successful career in country music with hits like "I Love a Rainy Night" and "Drivin' My Life Away." For Elvis, the song represented the quality material he was attracting during this career renaissance. What makes Kentucky Rain special is the cinematic quality of both the lyrics and production. Elvis doesn't just sing the song, he performs it like a mini-movie, allowing listeners to visualize the rain-soaked Kentucky landscapes and feel the characters' growing desperation. His phrasing creates narrative tension, particularly in lines like "7 lonely days and a dozen towns ago," where he perfectly captures the weariness of the ongoing search. The backing vocal arrangement enhances the dramatic quality, with the voices swelling during the chorus to underscore the emotional high points. Meanwhile, the instrumental backing from the Memphis Boys provides the perfect foundation, with tasteful guitar fills and a rhythm section that drives the song forward while maintaining the melancholic mood. Number 5. Blue Eyes, Crying in the Rain. Can a simple song with minimal production create one of the most authentic moments in Elvis's later recording career? Elvis's version of Blue Eyes, Crying in the Rain was recorded in the Jungle Room at Graceland in February 1976, just 18 months before his death, during what would be his final recording sessions. This Willie Nelson-penned classic had recently become a hit for Nelson himself, helping launch him to superstardom with his Red-Headed Stranger album. Elvis's interpretation is notably different. While Nelson's version has a sparse, stripped-down feel, Elvis brings a deeper, more melancholic quality to the song. The Jungle Room sessions represented an unusual chapter in Elvis's recording career. Rather than book expensive studio time, RCA brought mobile recording equipment to Graceland, converting Elvis's eccentrically decorated den, known as the Jungle Room for its tropical theme and green shag carpeting, into an impromptu studio. This intimate setting seems to have brought out a particularly honest quality in Elvis's performances. On Blue Eyes, Crying in the Rain, Elvis is accompanied by a simple arrangement featuring acoustic guitar, bass, and subtle electric guitar accents. The minimalism of the production allows his voice to take center stage, revealing both its continuing power and the new textures that age and experience had added to his instrument. What makes this recording special is its unvarnished quality. By this point in his career, Elvis was dealing with numerous health issues and personal struggles. Yet on this track, there's a sense of Elvis connecting deeply with the song's themes of loss and remembrance. The emotional authenticity in his delivery transcends any technical imperfections. The song appeared on the album From Elvis Presley Boulevard, Memphis, Tennessee, released in 1976. While the album received mixed reviews, with some critics noting signs of Elvis's declining health, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain stands as one of the collection's highlights, demonstrating that even in this late period, Elvis could deliver performances of remarkable sensitivity. In retrospect, there's something poignant about Elvis recording this particular song about memory and loss so near the end of his life. His interpretation brings a gravitas and world weariness that adds new dimensions to Willie Nelson's composition. The tempo is unhurried, allowing each word to carry its full emotional weight. Number 4. Guitar Man. How did a Jerry Reed country song help spark Elvis's creative revival? Guitar Man, recorded in September 1967, represents a crucial turning point in Elvis's career when he began to move away from movie soundtrack material toward more substantive recordings. The song tells the story of a musician who travels from town to town with nothing but his guitar, determined to make something of himself. This narrative resonated with Elvis, perhaps reminding him of his own journey from Memphis to stardom, and his performance brims with autobiographical conviction. What makes the recording session for Guitar Man particularly interesting is that Elvis's producer, Felton Jarvis, couldn't recreate the distinctive guitar sound from Jerry Reed's original. The solution: bring in Reed himself to play on the track. Reed's unique finger-picking style and the chemistry between him and Elvis created an authentic country rock sound that felt fresh and energetic. Elvis's vocal performance on Guitar Man demonstrates his ability to adapt to different musical styles while maintaining his distinctive identity. He brings rock and roll energy to the country material, pushing his voice with an enthusiasm that had been missing from some of his movie soundtrack recordings. The result feels like Elvis rediscovering his love for genuine, soulful music making. The song reached pound 43 on the Billboard Hot 100 and made it to pound 8 on the country charts. While these weren't spectacular numbers by Elvis's previous standards, the recording represented the significant artistic step forward. So impressed was producer Jarvis with the results that he would later use Guitar Man as the backbone for the 1981 posthumous country album Guitar Man, which electronically removed the original backing tracks and replaced them with new country arrangements. Guitar Man would gain additional significance when Elvis performed it during his legendary 1968 comeback special, using it to help reclaim his musical credibility after years of focus on his movie career. In that performance, the song served as a declaration that Elvis the musician was back and ready to be taken seriously again. The lyrics about a determined musician who refuses to compromise, "Well, I hit the road running with my guitar in my hand," seem especially meaningful coming from Elvis at this juncture in his career, suggesting his own renewed commitment to authentic music making. His delivery of lines like, "I've heard my name a few times, yes, I've seen my name in lights," carries the weight of someone who had experienced the heights of fame and was now seeking to reconnect with his musical roots. Number 3. I'll Hold You in My Heart. Did you know Elvis recorded one of his father's favorite songs and delivered one of his most emotionally naked vocal performances? "I'll Hold You in My Heart Till I Can Hold You in My Arms" was originally a hit for Eddie Arnold in 1947, spending 21 weeks at pound 1 on the country charts. Elvis's version, recorded during the legendary 1969 American Sound Studio sessions in Memphis, transforms the country standard into a soul-infused tour de force that shows his remarkable vocal range and emotional depth. These sessions, produced by Chips Moman, represented Elvis reclaiming his musical direction after years of movie soundtrack recordings, and the results rank among his finest work. What makes this recording special is Elvis's deeply personal connection to the material. Vernon Presley, Elvis's father, had often mentioned this was one of his favorite songs, and Elvis approaches it with a reverence and emotional investment that's palpable. His performance builds from tender restraint in the verses to full-throated release in the chorus, creating a dramatic arc that mirrors the song's themes of longing and separation. The production combines elements of country, soul, and gospel, musical forms that were foundational to Elvis's artistic development. The Memphis Boys studio band provides subtle, sympathetic backing that never overshadows Elvis's voice. The arrangement includes tasteful string parts that enhance the emotional quality without becoming saccharine, while the rhythm section maintains a gentle but insistent pulse throughout. Elvis's vocal technique on this recording deserves special attention. He uses his full range from intimate lower register passages to soaring high notes that showcase his remarkable power and control. His phrasing is particularly notable, with subtle variations in timing that create tension and release. The way he holds certain notes, allowing them to swell and fade, demonstrates his mastery of vocal dynamics. The song appeared on Back in Memphis, the more country and ballad-oriented companion to the hit, Filled from Elvis in Memphis album. While less commercially successful than its counterpart, Back in Memphis contains some of Elvis's most committed performances, with I'll Hold You in My Heart standing as perhaps the collection's emotional centerpiece. Despite its quality, this recording hasn't received the recognition of other tracks from this fertile period. Yet it represents Elvis at his interpretive best, bringing together his country roots, gospel influences, and soul sensibilities into a performance that transcends genre boundaries, while honoring a song that held personal significance. Number 2. Tomorrow is a Long Time. What happens when Elvis Presley records a Bob Dylan song? The result is one of the most underappreciated gems in the King's catalog. Tomorrow is a Long Time, recorded in May 1966, represents a fascinating artistic crossroads where one of rock's pioneers interprets the work of the genre's great poet and innovator. Dylan himself would later call Elvis's version the one recording I treasure the most. High praise indeed from the notoriously critical Lochnar. The song appeared on the Spin Out soundtrack album, where it was somewhat buried among more lightweight movie songs, perhaps explaining why this remarkable performance didn't receive wider recognition. Elvis's interpretation transforms Dylan's sparse folk original into something more melodic and accessible without sacrificing its emotional depth. The arrangement features delicate acoustic guitar work, understated percussion, and subtle bass, creating an intimate atmosphere that was rare in Elvis's mid-60s recordings. The production quality stands in stark contrast to many of his movie soundtrack songs from this period, suggesting special care was taken with this particular track. What makes this recording extraordinary is Elvis's vocal approach. He sings with a gentle, nuanced delivery that showcases his interpretive skills rather than his power. His phrasing is thoughtful and sensitive, bringing out the loneliness and longing in Dylan's lyrics. The tenderness in Elvis's voice as he sings Yes, and Only If My Own True Love Was Waitin' reveals his ability to connect with material that resonated with him personally. The song's theme of separation from a loved one might have held particular meaning for Elvis in 1966. He was in the midst of his movie career, often feeling creatively constrained, and was spending significant time away from his wife, Priscilla. These personal circumstances perhaps contributed to the authentic emotion evident in his performance. Tomorrow is a Long Time represents a road not taken in Elvis's career, a direction toward more contemporary, thoughtful material that might have defined his mid-60s output had his movie contracts allowed for more artistic freedom. The recording suggests what might have been possible had Elvis been able to more fully engage with the evolving folk rock sound of the era. Despite being hidden on a movie soundtrack album, this recording has gradually gained recognition among Elvis aficionados and Dylan fans alike as a special moment where two musical giants connected across stylistic boundaries. Elvis's interpretation demonstrates his underappreciated abilities as a nuanced interpreter of contemporary material. Number 1. You Asked Me To. Ever wonder what happened when Elvis recorded one of the most authentic country performances of his later career? You Asked Me To, a no-gun track from Elvis's 1973 Raised on Rock album, shanks his deep connection to country music forms and his ability to deliver a convincing country vocal even during a period when his energies were divided among numerous personal and professional challenges. Written by Billy Joe Shaver and Waylon Jennings, the song carries the authentic outlaw country credentials that were revolutionizing Nashville in the early 1970s. Elvis's version stays true to the country roots while adding his distinctive vocal approach that bridges country, gospel, and rock and roll traditions. Recorded at Stax Studios in Memphis in July 1973, the track features a straightforward country arrangement with prominent steel guitar, tasteful electric guitar, fills, and a steady rhythm section. The production is clean and uncluttered, allowing Elvis's voice to remain front and center throughout. This session came during a period when Elvis was increasingly drawn to country material that allowed him to explore his vocal capabilities in a more mature context. What makes this recording special is Elvis's relaxed, confident delivery. He sounds completely comfortable within the country idiom, phrasing the lyrics with subtle inflections that demonstrate his understanding of the genre's vocal traditions. There's a lived-in quality to his performance that communicates authentic emotion without unnecessary dramatics. The song's lyrics about commitment and devotion, "You asked me to give you my hand, for you knew all along that I'd kneel down and I'd say I do," are delivered with a sincerity that suggests personal connection to the material. By 1973, Elvis had experienced both the joys and complications of deep relationships, including his recent separation from Priscilla, perhaps adding layers of meaning to his interpretation. You Asked Me To represents Elvis's continued engagement with contemporary country music, even as his live shows became more focused on big production numbers and established hits. The recording demonstrates that when presented with quality material that resonated with his musical sensibilities, Elvis could still deliver performances of remarkable authenticity and emotional depth. Despite appearing on an album that received mixed reviews and achieved modest commercial success, You Asked Me To has gradually gained recognition among Elvis connoisseurs as an example of his underappreciated countryside. The track shows that even during a period often characterized by inconsistent material and performances, Elvis could still connect deeply with songs that spoke to his roots. Will these 12 songs ever receive the recognition they deserve in Elvis's massive catalog? Could rediscovering these country gems change how we understand Elvis's musical legacy?